This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 179 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Gotta take toys away from my wife.
Oh, that's good to hear. We love it when we hear that people who love Star Wars are working on Star Wars.
I'm glad you didn't leave out Roger, as we affectionately like to call him.
Roger, Roger.
Am I hearing Batman in this?
Do what you want to do what you love, and do it the best you can.
Was officially declared Mark Hamill Day for the city of San Diego. He's like a father figure to all these people.
You cannot break me.
Or maybe throw Legos and Duplos together? Oh, you get a whole orchestra there.
Ooh, you're giving me some good ideas now for season 2. What?
Chewie comes with a porg.
Chewie comes with a porg.
So what you're trying to say is that Mark Hamill needs to go skywalking through Neverland.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hello, Skywalkers.
Listen.
Off to Neverland.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Wow. Oh, what?
You are skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, Skywalkers! Hey, can you tell me how to get not to Sesame Street, but to Mark Hamill Drive?
What?
Well, if you do, then hold that thought, because we want to welcome you all to Skywalking Through Neverland. This is your fun-filled, positive Star Wars and Disney podcast that takes you through a tour through the many decades of fandom. I am Richard Woloski, and now everyone, please say hello to my sweetie wife Sarah, who will not hesitate to push a small child over so she can get her Forces of Destiny toys.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to welcome our Star Wars and Disney family and say hello. Hi, everyone, before I tell my Forces of Destiny story.
As long as you're not a small child, because she will knock you over to get her toy.
Oh, there may be small children listening. I'm sorry.
This is after dark.
Okay. Well, you weren't at my Target, so can I tell the story?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I was seeing. Okay, these figures aren't supposed to come out till August 1st,
the Forces of Destiny figures.
Yes.
The action adventure figure dolls.
Yes. The Star Wars dolls. Okay. Okay. So they weren't supposed to come out. But then I kept seeing on social media that people were finding them in their Targets and their Toys R Us's, and Teresa found them, and it was like the day before, and finally on Saturday night I'm like, I really want to go. So Sunday morning, first thing, like at 8 a.m, because we were up early, we went to our local Target.
It was like Christmas morning for you, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh.
Because your eyes went joink.
Well, that's the thing. Like you had
a mission.
The kids section was way at the back of the Target. And so we were getting our various items that we needed. And Richard, you were digging around, like trying to look for some pillows or something. And I'm like, Richard, let's go this way.
I was looking for those Kenner Star Wars little baskets that someone had posted online that I had to have.
Well, okay. So it took me major self-control to not go in that aisle by myself, but wait for you to realize that those things weren't there. So I waited for you to come with me to the aisle, and we rounded the corner into the Star Wars aisle, and I saw them from a distance as I was rounding the corner. All of them. They were all there, and I ran over. I was so excited. I was jumping up and down.
Yes, I wish I had video of this.
I know.
But then again, that could be incriminating evidence because you were knocking over small children.
Oh my God, I was so excited. So then I saw there was 3 pegs with the figures, and I saw the Endor Leia right away, and I think it was the Rey and the BB-8, and I think Jyn up above. But then if you start taking them off the pegs, there's the other figures underneath. So I saw the Sabine, and there was the other Rey, and there was
And Leia.
and Leia,
Both
yeah.
Leias.
Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. So you saw this picture. You know, I like took them all in my arms, and I posted the picture on Instagram and everywhere.
I said you can have two.
And
you can't have all of them. You can
Yes.
have two.
Yes. So the Hoth Leia with the R2 was totally get her, please.
Okay, I'll go get her.
She was totally speaking to me. Michelle Whitlick said she stalked her Target all day today. Oh, so here she is. Oh, she is
Matt
amazing.
Clifton on Facebook says, "Know that feeling all so well,
Oh,
all
look
too
at
well."
her. Look at her face. Like, oh my gosh. And you know what? I do want the Endor Leia eventually. I mean, she's got the Ewok and she's got her dress, like her Ewok village dress. However, it was the Hoth Leia that spoke to me, like, just, you know, she's in Empire Strikes Back in this outfit. She kisses Han in this outfit. Like, it's a thing. And that's
Yeah.
why I was into Star Wars. So
Now-
I had to get Hoth Leia. And her hair's better in this one.
Yeah,
It's better than the Endor Leia, honestly. I like her hair
yeah,
here
because
better.
she was cheaper.
Yes.
Now, is it
she
me
is.
or does she look like Shelby Young, who voices Princess Leia in
Oh!
Forces of Destiny?
Speaking of Shelby Young tweeted today. She tweeted a very short video of her finding Leia's at the Target. And she was like, look what we have here. And she showed both the Leias, the Endor and the Hoth Leia.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So go to at Shelby Young. I think I don't know. I saw her tweet. It was great.
Yeah, so I think that sculpt looks more like Shelby Young than it does Carrie
Really?
Fisher.
I think it's beautiful. I mean, I was looking at a picture of Carrie Fisher and she's got the profile right. Like it's perfect. So
And the Leia comes with this little itty bitty R2D2.
yeah, and it doesn't have wheels and it's kind of like gonna fall over at any moment.
Yeah,
but
it's very off balance. But
yeah,
now the head, when you turn the head, it makes this sound. That's plastic rubbing against plastic. I want to hear the Kenner click, 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 click. The old vintage figure. Click, 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 click as you turn his head.
oh
But nothing doing.
no, I'm
Nothing
sorry.
doing. And it's so small. It's not to scale at all.
No.
It's to scale if R2 was like 100 meters in the distance, then it would be to scale.
And they do stand up. Like and also it's funny. Leia, her boots come off,
Don't undress her.
and she has bare feet.
I know this is Skywalking to Neverland after dark, but don't undress her.
This is hard to do.
Yeah, well, don't
All right,
do it
well,
then.
I'm not gonna do it.
Put her clothes back on.
She has bare feet. She's not wearing any socks. Hoth Leia's gonna be cold. Okay. Okay, now get Sabine.
All right, hold on.
So then I decided to get Sabine because I figured she's going to be hard to find, and I actually was blown away by her sculpt. For some reason, I've seen Sabine at the cons and she didn't look that great, but I saw her in the packaging and her colors and everything. They're like, she's got the Forces of Destiny colors, and I thought she was beautiful. So I got her, and her hair looks really cool. Like I don't know, there's like gel in her hair or something, and it just looks great.
Now, oddly enough,
No socks in
this
space.
Sabine action figure looks more like Carrie Fisher.
No. No, she doesn't.
That's what you call a callback.
I think she's beautiful. So I got Sabine over Rey this time because I figure Rey is going to be easier to find later.
Yes.
Look at them. Aren't they pretty? I love them so much, sweetie. I love them.
You do. All right, but you know what? Let's continue with the show. Okay?
I want to play with my dolls.
You can play with your dolls
I
all
play with
you
my
want.
Star Wars dolls.
All you want. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to stop you. But you can't stop me from telling everyone that we are recording this from Long Beach, California on July 31st, 2017. So, Minnie, it's late at night.
Oh no!
What time actually is it?
Minnie is sleeping because my watch is off.
Wake Minnie up.
I can't. Like literally, I'd have to put it on the
Oh.
charger.
That's okay. We'll wait. Can you guys wait a little longer?
No, it'd be like
Maybe
10,
like
10
half an
minutes.
hour, 35 minutes? Well, you know what? We will wait. All right. So, in your best Minnie Mouse voice, Sarah, what time is it?
It's 9:06. Good night.
See, that wasn't bad. That was very, very good. All right. So, July 31st. What comes to mind when you hear that date, July 31st? I posted a couple of things on our Facebook page and our Facebook group. But what events happened on this date, July 31st?
The day after I got my Forces of Destiny figures.
So one-track minded.
Look at that.
I don't know what that's like. No, but 36 years ago today, The Empire Strikes Back was re-released for the first time ever.
One of the best things that ever happened is about to happen again. The Empire Strikes Back. Rated PG. Special limited engagement. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
And I do recall this.
Oh.
Being at the Chestnut Hill movie theater for the next 3 weeks, every single night at 7 o'clock. And then someone had mentioned earlier, what else? What else happened on July 31st?
Yes, Glenn had mentioned it's Harry Potter's birthday.
I thought Harry Potter's birthday was Halloween.
No, something else happens on Halloween.
Well, a lot of things happen on Halloween.
I think is it the Dark Lord's birthday? What's his name?
Voldemort?
Voldemort? Yeah, I don't know.
So what was it ever established what year? Put those dolls
81.
away. Put those dolls away.
No, stop it! You're gonna ruin her hair.
You know what? Put your toys away and focus on the show. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. All right, so I'm trying to cover all Gotta take toys away from my wife. Good night. All right. Well, you know what? He was born in 1997, okay?
Who?
Harry Potter.
No, he was born in 81.
Was he born in 80?
Yes.
Oh, no, the series wrapped up in 97.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Harry Potter.
Harry Potter series? The books were still coming out when we met each other.
In the in-universe,
oh,
the timeline ended.
Okay.
I recall reading that in the last book.
1980.
1980.
No, Jeremy, I remember it's 81 because that's my year, and I remember I was like, hey, Harry Potter and I were born in the same year. So it's 81.
Okay. You know what? 2 movies opened up July 31st, 1981. The re-release of The Empire Strikes Back and the Carrie Fisher mega movie Under the Rainbow.
Guess what happened when 150 midgets checked into a hotel in Hollywood to make one of the world's biggest movies? And it's not short on romance.
Bruce Thorpe, United States Secret Service.
And I suppose that's your gun, huh?
Oh, no, I wear a shoulder holster.
If you haven't already guessed, it'll be out shortly. Chevy Chase, Carrie Fisher, and 150 of Hollywood's smallest stars in Under the Rainbow, a giant comedy. Coming from Orion Pictures.
I loved this film as a kid.
I've never seen this.
I loved this. Yeah, and all the Munchkins were all played by future Ewok actors, except for Warwick Davis.
I'd like to watch it.
It's been 4 years. We've never talked about Under the Rainbow. All right, check.
There you go.
So this is why we don't record at night.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry, but Glenn just mentioned that Harry Potter's parents were killed on October 31st. That's what happened.
Oh, there you go.
That's
was that on
what
Facebook
happened.
or was that on YouTube?
That was on that one.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. All right. With all of that, let's get moving into telling everyone what is coming up on this episode. And just in time for Season 2 of LEGO Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures, which premieres tonight on Disney XD, we'll be talking with composer Michael Kramer.
So exciting. He is so fun, you guys.
This guy is just a ball of energy.
Yeah, and of course, since we're balls of energy, it was a really fun conversation.
Yeah. Sarah and he got talking into musical
stuff?
I don't want to say it nerdisms, but they were delving deep, and I had to go in there and pull them out.
Well, you had to explain to people or ask questions. It worked out. It worked out.
Oh, it worked out great. Oh.
Yeah. And also on this episode, we have Brian Sims. And Brian, he takes us to Mark Hamill Drive in our 0.5 past Lightspeed segment. And this street, it was named for Mark in San Diego just this past weekend. Brian was there covering the event, and he'll be here in just a little while to tell us all about it.
And also, we have shout-outs. Rob Dellinger is still on vacation. You gotta hurry up, Rob. Those jingles are piling up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
yes.
So we are Skywalker of the Week less this week. But we do have a very special things we want to share as we bring Seen Unseen Disneyland author Russ Flores on to talk about the passing of Disney Imagineer Marty Sklar. Now, Russ is going to share some of his stories about time spent with Marty.
But first, let's hear another fandom highlight from Riley Blanton of the Star Wars Report podcast.
Hey, I'm Riley Blanton from the Star Wars Report podcast, and what pushed fandom forward for me is family. My dad and mom are into Star Wars, and I will never forget the first time that we watched The Empire Strikes Back, and my dad decided to make a lesson out of it to learn how to the virtue of patience by saying we could watch one act of the film or wait a week. So of course we watched it, and it cut off right at the beginning of the asteroid chase.
All right, thank you, Riley. And everyone, all the Skywalkers out there, please keep sending in your fandom highlights. Got a bunch already recorded, but we want to hear from you. So what pushed fandom to a whole new level, whole new direction? Tell us what you think and email them at share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com.
That's right. And it could be Star Wars or Disney.
Maybe Harry Potter.
Oh, even Harry Potter, yes.
But now, here are things
we want to share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
It's always tough when those who inspire you as children and adults passes away. On Thursday, July 27th, Disney Imagineer Marty Sklar passed away at the age of 83.
Unfortunately, we never had the chance to speak with him on Skywalking Through Neverland or meet him, but fortunately, our friend and author, Russell Flores, has spent a little time with this pioneer. So let's speak with Russ now so he can share those moments with us.
Hey, Russ!
Hey, guys. Sorry for the reason we have to be here, but I'm glad to be on your show again.
Yeah, us too. And if we can't have Marty Sklar on the show, well, we'll get the next best thing, Russ Flores.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm in that caliber, but thank you for the kind statement.
Oh.
Now, for those who don't know about Marty Sklar's extensive Disney resume, can you fill us in on this?
So, Marty Sklar started his career way back before Disneyland actually opened. He was still a student at UCLA, and he got a job from Walt Disney. If you remember when DCA first opened up again with their reboot, they had that Gazette that they published every month or so.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Disneyland had a similar newspaper, the Main Street newspaper, and Marty Sklar was the one who wrote that and started it back in 1955. After he got things started, Disneyland was going. He then went back and finished his college education at UCLA, and then in 1956 returned to Disneyland and became a speechwriter for Walt Disney. And he apparently had a real knack for not only writing, but also he understood Walt's voice. So he's responsible for a lot of the speeches you've heard over the years from Walt Disney. So he would write all of his speeches. Walt Disney would then review them, and then they would get used. Eventually, he went over to WED, which eventually became Walt Disney Imagineering, and actually worked on the 1964-65 World's Fair that everyone was talking about a couple of years ago. He also worked on Walt Disney World, had a lot to do with that, and eventually worked his way up to becoming the head of WDI. And he worked there for a little over 3 decades, leading all of the major projects over the years.
Wow.
He in 2009, he retired and he became a special ambassador. He's attended every park opening, including Disneyland. So the next park that opens will be the first one that he did not attend.
Oh.
And he also was responsible. He had a really great friend named Herb Ryman. When Herb Ryman passed away, he and several other people, including Herb Ryman's sister, Sharon Disney Lund, Harrison Price and his wife, and Marty and his wife, Leah, started a foundation called the Ryman Arts Foundation. And that foundation is responsible for bringing art to students all over the Southern California area. They have all sorts of special programs, and it costs all these students nothing to attend it.
Wow. That's
Goodness.
great. So what do you think was Marty Sklar's biggest contribution to Disney as a whole?
So, I've actually been thinking about that, and I think a big part of it was, obviously, we lost Walt Disney way too young and in the middle of a lot of projects. And I think because he understood Walt so well, he understood how he spoke, he understood the reasons why Walt did things, he was able to carry that on for the next, 4 or 5 decades after Walt Disney passed, and continue to pass on those wisdoms to the new Imagineers, to the new cast members, and to the public in general. He wrote his Mickey's 10 Commandments, which boiled down Walt's thoughts and the reasons why he did what he did, and was able to pass that on. And I think that was very beneficial to keeping not only Walt's spirit alive, but to keep the parks on track and the studio on track and keep them going in the direction that Walt wanted.
Now, when it comes to the rides, what do you think was Marty's biggest contribution when it came to the attractions?
Wow, that would be a tough one, because there are so many great attractions that have been done since when he took over and he was at the reins. Obviously, the Imagineers, who were directly responsible for each attraction, would have a big impact. But he put his mark on pretty much everything that happened in those 3 decades. He was directly involved. He was not a sit back and just let things happen, laissez-faire type of guy. He had his hands on everything. He had his fingers in everything, just like Walt did. And although he let his Imagineers, run free, he also was there and to, guide them, give them input. So I would be really hard pressed to pick one attraction that he had, that would be the pinnacle of everything, because he's just had such a great influence on everything.
Right. Wow. Sarah, what would you say would be his greatest accomplishment, or one that stands out?
I would say, he was really involved in Epcot and guided that creative development. So I think just in that alone, that's, the mindset of a whole entire park, I think that is a big, big contribution.
Right.
What do you think, Richard?
I'm going to go with this. It's a Small World.
Oh.
It's not as grandiose as a theme park, but still, it's one of those rides where when you think Disneyland or a Disney park, you've got to think It's a Small World. And then the song gets stuck in your head, and there you have it. Now, Russ, you had spent some time with Marty Sklar. Tell us about those meetings.
Yeah, so I was actually very fortunate. In preparation for this interview, I actually went back through and looked through my notes, and I was kind of surprised to find out, first of all, I met Marty Sklar in 2012 at the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet. He was a presenter, and then he did a special brunch the next day that I was fortunate enough to attend because of my friend John Ament. And we were really lucky because we got there and we were asking, okay, well, where are we supposed to sit? And they were like, oh, well, just sit wherever you want. And we sat down and we happened to sit at Marty's table. So we got to have brunch with him that day. He told us so much great stuff. He even did a little drawing, and a friend of mine still has that drawing. So it was very wonderful first meeting with him, get all sorts of words of advice from him. But since that time, when I looked over my notes, I found out that I have actually got to go to events at the Walt Disney Family Museum in 2013, Stage 9 in 2014, the Walt Disney Family Museum again in 2015, and then Pacific Northwest again in 2016. And at a couple of those events, I got, not a long conversation, maybe a minute and a half, but I got to actually have a one-on-one conversation with him and get some words of advice from him and a little bit of guidance, which he was well known for. He was always helping people. He was always meeting with people, talking with people. One of the comments I recently read about his appearance at D23 was that the line for him was extremely long, but people didn't mind because he was actually spending time with each person that he was signing the book for. Aww. And talking with them. It wasn't just, a cattle car sign, move. He was actually talking with them and interacting with them. And, that kind of reminds me of like Johnny Depp, where during an event at DCA, all the other stars were kind of walking down the red carpet and meeting with a few people, but the handlers were really rushing them. And Johnny Depp was not going to be rushed. And he met with every single person. He shook every person's hand. He took pictures with everyone. The handlers were clearly annoyed with this, but he spent time with everyone because, as he says, he understands it's all about the fans. And Marty understood that it's all about the fans of Disneyland and passing on that knowledge. So he spent time with everyone. And at book signings, he would sit there and talk to you and ask you questions. And, it wasn't just, ask him a question and he would answer it. He would actually interact. It was a two-way conversation.
Nice.
Well, I guess Topps wasn't running his autograph line. Or who was it? Autograph go, autograph go, autograph go. Now, what do you recall him telling you, or any kind of stories that he was sharing with you? Anything in particular?
So, his big thing was, do what you want to do what you love, and do it the best you can. And one of the things I was just noticing, and reminded me of something I read recently, was, when he would review people's projects, he would write in red ink, because that's what he did. And I was looking at the autographs in both of my books of his, and they're both signed in red, and it hadn't really dawned on me that he had done that. But that was his big thing. But he basically, said, hey, do what you want to do. If you love it, go for it, And that was his big thing. He was a man who really encouraged development. He encouraged artistic, ability. He encouraged people to do what they were passionate about. And some of what he spoke, to me about was just in the crowd. Like the 2012 meeting at the Pacific Northwest Mouse Meet. He was talking to everyone, but a lot of what he said, personally resonated with me. And that was at a time when I was kind of at a crossroads of, do I really want to put this first book out? Should I really do this? And, he was basically saying, you'll never know unless you try.
Wow.
You got to get out there, but also give it your best shot. So, and that was partially, what we talked about privately too. And again, it's not like we sat down and had a 30-minute interview or anything. It was just, he's signing a book and we're talking, and I was fortunate enough to actually give him one of my first books and get a little bit of feedback. So, those little things when you're talking to someone can have a great influence on you.
Did he offer you any pieces of advice that you've used to great success?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the things about, actually going for it and actually doing it and putting your heart into it and doing the best you can, really, doing the research and making it correct. Don't just, one of his big things was you don't just haphazardly do something. One of the things that the parks are great for is that everything blends together. Everything is supposed to be there. There's nothing that shocks you out of, being there. You don't like walk through Tomorrowland and all of a sudden there's a dinosaur. Things are made to work together and everything. And that was one of his big things. One of the reasons my book is stylized the way they are is, because I wanted things to blend together, to work together. So traditionally books of my style are done like by lands or by parks. But you'll notice mine are actually done by concepts, and that's partly because of stuff that Marty Sklar said. Wow. I felt that those blended better together. There's not this shock of all this stuff together, that there's, themes that are together.
Definitely. Well, speaking of Marty Sklar's books, have you ever read any of his books?
Yes, I actually have both of them, One Little Spark and Dream It, Do It. And I was fortunate enough, like I said, to get him to sign both of them.
Wow.
They're very good books on stuff about Disney and his career. One Little Spark has Mickey's 10 Commandments in it and The Road to Imagineering. So if you're interested in Mickey's 10 Commandments, you can actually Google it and it'll come up. But if you're interested in his book, and where he actually goes over all of those and explains them and then has them written out, that's an excellent book to go over. And Dream It, Do It is his life working, for the Walt Disney Company. As it says on the cover, my half century creating Disney's magic kingdoms.
Wow.
So, like I said, he was involved in everything, not just the attractions, but every, new park, every new attraction for 3 decades. He had his hand in, including Tokyo and Paris, and the whole shooting match.
Can you recall any of the 10 Commandments? I'm curious about that. I've never heard about this until now.
I can actually read them to you. I can pull them up out of the book here.
Hey, read us number 1.
Page 11. Okay, here we go.
All right, number 1 of Mickey's 10 Commandments.
So number 1 is know your audience.
Oh, good.
And so then he spends a whole chapter on that and explaining what that means. And then like number 2, wear your guest shoes. That was another big one. A lot of rides and pavilions and stuff at other resorts, they throw it together and that's it. Then it's done. Whereas the Disney Imagineers are always encouraged, once it's built, it's not done. Get out there, go through the queue lines, experience what the guests are experiencing, talk to the guests, walk around. You always see Disney executives and everything walking around the parks. They're experiencing what you're experiencing and realizing, what's not going to work. One of the things Walt was famous for was they built all the little grassy areas of Disneyland when it first opened, and they wanted to put fences around it to protect the grass. And Walt Disney said, no, let's see what happens. And he wanted to see where the tracks were made and what shortcuts people were making. And then they redid it so that those were the new walkways now. And so wear the guest shoes is extremely important concept in making the parks what they are.
After we wrap this up, I want to order this book. So don't tell us anymore because I want to wait to experience these. These are awesome. That's a fantastic book.
So that's one little spark.
Oh, okay. One little spark. Awesome. And, Russell, we had you on last week talking about cosplayers at D23 Expo, but now remind everyone again where we can get your books, Seen Unseen Disneyland and more Seen Unseen Disneyland.
So the best way to get my books is either go to www.sudbooks.com, SUDBOOKS.com, and there's a buy it page that links into my online store, which is actually sudbooks.ecwid.com, and that's my actual online store. And you can buy the books; they'll come autographed, and it's the quickest way to get them. They're also available on Amazon. Obviously, those don't come autographed, but you do get free shipping there.
Nice.
Okay. Well, Russ, thanks again for coming on 2 weeks in a row and telling us all about Marty Sklar. I'm hoping that really opens up his experience to those who knew his name but didn't really know his extensive, illustrious career. So thank you once again for that.
Well, thank you again for having me on. It's always a great time spending time with you guys.
Hey there, my name is Michael Kramer, and I'm the composer for LEGO Star Wars, The Freemaker Adventures, and I am skywalking through Neverland.
I often think of analogy of, when you write mock-ups, it's kind of like walking around the world with, seeing everything in black and white. And then when you record with orchestra, it's just all of a sudden everything is in color. It's just such an amazing experience to hear your music come alive and hear people breathe life into these ideas that you had in your head, not that long ago.
Season 2, we're really excited to be here to record the new themes for this season. And the show really is just about having a youthful spirit and having fun. So I encourage you guys to just dig in, have a great time, and play your hearts out.
What do the names John Williams, Kevin Kiner, and Michael Kramer all have in common? Well, if you guessed they all composed scores for Star Wars films and animated TV series, then you are worthy of the Kyber Saber.
Michael Kramer is the composer of the fan-favorite series LEGO Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures, which debuts its second season this summer on Disney XD. And he is here now to tell us about the process of writing for Star Wars, LEGO, and a droid named Roger.
Roger.
Hey, Michael!
Hey, Sarah and Richard. How you guys doing?
We are doing great and can't wait to talk to you all about Star Wars music.
And Roger.
I'm glad you didn't leave out Roger, as we affectionately like to call him. He's like our favorite character.
I think he's everyone's favorite character now. And I'm so glad they make prequel references in the Freemaker Adventures. I'm all about the prequels.
Totally. Can't leave it out.
Yeah. Now, before we get started, we want to ask you, when you were a kid, what was your favorite thing to build out of Legos?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the crazy thing is I still remember stealing my dad's camera when I was a little kid and, making forts and stop motion animation. I'd like get fishing line and have Legos careening through the air. I used to make my own stop motion Lego films, and as an adult now writing music for Lego shows, it's just a head trip. It's really cool.
Well, you know what? I heard your father was a master carpenter, correct? Or is a master carpenter?
That's his passion. He kind of built all the furniture in our house, and building things and creating things and in one way or another has been, something that runs in our family for sure.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow. So he must have started you with Legos at age 1.
Oh yeah. There's tubs of them somewhere. I think my parents are still holding on to them for grandkids or something like that.
So when he said playtime, what he really meant was apprenticeship.
Well, it's fun that you kind of went from building Legos to building scores. So what was the score that kind of piqued the interest of the Disney people to bring you aboard the Freemaker Adventures?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, my big break was writing music for Ninjago, actually. I've been writing on that show for quite a while. And I developed a relationship with the animation studio and the sound studio who, work on Ninjago. And through those connections, it led me to an opportunity to demo for Freemakers. And, I just kind of listened to my gut and gave them my best. And they seemed to like the ideas that I brought to the table.
Wow. Are you doing the Ninjago movie coming out this September?
No, I wish. No, that they actually have brought in a totally different team, separate from the TV show. So it's a whole new production team for pre and post production. But I'm still really grateful. The movie's going to bring a lot of publicity to the TV show, so it's going to be really fun. I'm really curious to see what they do to it. They bring a fresh perspective.
And yet, John Williams steals another score.
I don't think John will be doing the Lego movie, but I could be wrong.
That would be funny. Well, you know what? You mentioned that your big break was the Lego Ninjago series, and that's scored by so many world instruments, and I read that they're played by you.
Yeah.
So, just how many instruments do you play?
I play a lot of them poorly. Oh. but just enough to get by. And I collecting instruments is kind of a passion of mine. It's borderline an addiction, actually. But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is just try something new and learn a new instrument. One of the fun things about learning a new instrument, it's like putting on a different hat, and it kind of changes your whole perspective to writing music. It leads you into different directions that you wouldn't necessarily go if you're just playing on the same instruments that you're used to. So it's good. It gets me out of my comfort zone to try some new things.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you have a favorite instrument?
Oh my God. I'd say cello is probably my favorite instrument.
Wow.
One of my favorite instruments to play that's kind of like cello that I can play a lot better than cello actually is this instrument called a bowed dulcimer, where it's kind of like a mini cello, but it has frets, so it's a little bit easier to play than the standard cello. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love those stringed instruments.
Wow. Well, you and Kevin, you remind me of Kevin Kiner actually, because we've spoken with him, and he loves collecting instruments as well.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a requirement to be a composer. Gotta love trying new things.
Absolutely.
Is there one instrument that you just can't wait to introduce into the Freemaker Adventures soundtracks coming up?
Oh, that's a really good question. we're always trying to put new things into the Star Wars score universe, but we're always trying to be respectful of what John has done and what the music the music universe sounds like. So yeah, I mean, we've actually used a little bit of Bo Dulcimer for Nare in season 1, and we've used actually this upcoming season for season 2, I got to break out some recorders, and yes, I mean recorders like
the kind you learn when you're in kindergarten.
Exactamundo. And
yes.
But the funny thing about recorders that when they're played, decently well, they're really beautiful. They kind of have almost like an Irish quality to them, or a Renaissance feel. They're really, really extraordinary instruments. So I've been using those on this particular episode that I'm working on right now, which I can't give you the details of, but it's been really fun to bring that new color into the Star Wars universe.
I should have my 3rd grade music teacher get a hold of you, because she'll tell you something totally different from the sound I would make.
Yeah.
And when I say sound, I mean just that sound. There's nothing musical about that.
Yeah, I hear you.
Now, when you were doing the Freemaker Adventures, did they direct you to incorporate anything from John Williams or Kevin Kiner, or were you given musical freedom?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I mean, one thing that's been really nice is the producers have been really supportive of using John's themes. So we do have, the ability to use John's original melodies throughout the show, but we try to use them in, places that really make sense for the story and the characters, and not just kind of blanket them all over the place.
Right.
But it's a delicate balance. I think it's the same kind of thing that John went through when he was writing for Force Awakens. He has all these new characters and they need new themes, but they also have to coexist with what's come before. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a delicate balance for sure. But it's been really, really amazing to work with his themes as well as write new themes that are in the same vein. I'm not going to say as good, because nothing is as good as what John can do with melodies. He's just untouchable. But it's been really fun to play with his melodies for sure.
Now, when you get to play with his themes, are you given like some scores of his? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So when we first started the show, I kind of put on my archaeologist hat and it really tried to scrounge up as many scores as I could. I bought everything that I could find online, talked to a bunch of friends, and really just get as much music as possible and study it. The really fun part about the timing when we first started season 1 was that they just released The Force Awakens. So there's this new Star Wars music that we haven't heard any new Star Wars music for years and years and years, and all of a sudden it comes out. So it was really the biggest breath of inspiration for me as I was getting started. It was really a gift.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? When I first heard that Lego and Star Wars were combining forces to make this new show called The Freemaker Adventures, and we're sitting down to watch it, and I was thinking and hoping, I hope they don't use the John Williams score for the opening track. And I can say I'm so glad that you didn't take anything from that, or they didn't direct you to use any part of the John Williams classic Star Wars theme.
For the opening theme?
For the opening theme, yeah. So when you were writing that, what was your process? Was that a struggle with you? Do I use it? Do I not use it? Do I incorporate any kind of phrasing?
Yeah, that's also a really good question. The big struggle was, how do I make it sound Star Warsy? How do we make it feel epic and space opera-y and all these things, but still make it authentic to my voice as a composer? Because I'm not John Williams. I can't write exactly like him, and I never will.
Come on.
No, you have to straddle these two things of being authentic to your own voice and then trying to do a little bit of what he does as well. So as we were figuring out what to do for the main title, one thing that's I think worked well was for the very first chord. The very first chord that I use is this big B flat major chord, and it's the same chord as the opening for Star Wars.
Oh, nice.
But other than that, it's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an Easter egg.
Yeah, but it's really, really subtle. But I think in everyone's mind, that big blast, those notes. It's just, if you're a Star Wars fan, you can't. It's indelible. Those notes are on the brain. So I was just kind of using that to my benefit a little bit.
Am I wrong thinking that Danny Elfman was an inspiration for that opening theme?
Oh, I'm a huge Danny Elfman fan. It may have come out accidentally just because I love his music, but it wasn't overt. No.
Okay. Yeah, when I was listening to it, I thought, am I hearing Batman in this? And I loved it because it had.
I can see how you could hear that.
Almost like a comic book feel to it, but yet, if John Williams was writing a comic book theme, maybe this is what he would do.
Yeah. No, I get that for sure.
Well, you know what? In your scores, like either for Ninjago or Lego Freemaker Adventures, you kind of have a good mix of orchestral sound with electronic sound, like electric guitars or synthesized sound. So has this always been the way you like to compose?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I love to do is blend orchestra with instruments that typically don't go with orchestra. So, I mean, that's one of my favorite things on working on Ninjago is that we get to blend these exotic instruments from all over the world into, an orchestral atmosphere, which is really awesome. But yeah, for Freemakers, it's been fun to try to search for, synth colors that fit into the Star Wars universe. That's not too modern, not too outside the box. But yeah, it's been really fun trying to search for those kind of organic sounding synth colors.
Well, yeah. Do you take inspiration, say like John Williams in Empire Strikes Back in the cave? He actually uses synthesizers there.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something like, do you kind of delve into those old scores a little bit and use that as a guide?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some crazy synth that goes on. It's a thing. I think it's a scene with Jabba, and it's just some gnarly '80s analog synth. It's really bizarre, but yeah, we've tried to use a little bit of that for our hut, Grabala the hut, at certain moments.
Oh, funny. You know what? That brings to mind. Okay, so right before we talked with you, I put out a tweet saying that we were going to speak with you, and some of our listeners put forth a few questions. And so Franklin Taylor would actually like to know, will we hear a Grabala the Greatest leitmotif in season 2?
Well, there actually is a Grabala theme that we use throughout season 1 that's been really fun. It's kind of blumbering and kind of gigantic and bloated sounding.
What's the instrumentation that you use?
Yeah. So one instrument that I thought worked really well for Jabba was this woodwind instrument called a contrabassoon.
Oh yeah.
And it's a really, really low instrument, and it just sounds kind of farty and a little ugly and gnarly, and like you wouldn't want your children to be next to it. It's a little scary sounding. So yeah, that's one of the instruments that we use for Grabala's theme.
Yeah, let me ask you, who was your favorite character to write for season 2?
Oh man, for season 2. It's been, well, I have 2 answers. One, Roger, because he has some incredible antics in season 2. I mean, season 1, there were some really funny moments, but season 2 just like kicks it up a notch. Mm-hmm. And I think the second favorite thing, I'd say Rowan. Rowan has a really interesting story arc in season 2, and I can't say too much about it, but it's
like what?
It's been really. I said I can't say anything. It's been really fun to write for him in this new story arc.
Why?
It's super epic, and yeah, it's just hard to talk about without talking about it.
Tell us about Rowan and the Kyber Saber.
Yeah, so the Kyber Saber, that was a really fun theme to write for season 1. It has its own melody, and we kind of bring it in and out for his story arc and his interaction with the Kyber Saber throughout season 1. And that was really fun because we got to use a little bit of kind of the grand sweeping romantic harmonies a little bit more than some of the other themes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that I loved working with the Kyber Saber theme in season 1.
I don't think he fell for it. Didn't tell us anything about season 2 with the Kyber Saber.
But maybe the Kyber Saber isn't going to be in season 2.
I don't know. You know what? Let's go ahead and ask him. So in season 2,
you cannot break me.
Well, okay, so let's take it back to season 1 a little bit, where Nare is, you have mentioned that you like scoring for her. Now, it's interesting because she's a two-faced character, so is there anything you did in the music to portray that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I mean, when we first introduced Nare, she has her own melody. And when we first introduced her, it was in this heroic version. And so the melody was actually all in a major key, or, a kind of happier sound. And when all of a sudden we discover, spoiler alert, that she's not so friendly.
That her face changes.
He's got some crazy, awesome, glowing, evil face stuff going on. Then we turn the theme into minor. So it's really fun. It was really fun to play with her theme and kind of twist it like that.
Nice.
Now, for those of us who don't have a musical background, so minor, that would be more of the sad, oppressive.
Well,
yes, exactly.
Sad sound, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So da 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 or da da da. That's like a happy chord. Now minor would be da da da. I was terrible without a.
You think I would know this by now?
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a hard thing to talk about.
It's a hard thing to do when you can only say one note with your throat rather than all three to make the chord.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
That's much better. Do you ever use Legos to create music?
Oh, that's a great question. Ooh, you're giving me some good ideas now for season 2.
Yeah, like throw Legos in a big pile and have kids run all over them. Or have adults walk on them with no shoes on.
Oh, no, then you get some interesting sounds.
Yes, you will. or maybe throw Legos and Duplos together. Oh, you get a whole orchestra there.
I'm loving these ideas. I'm totally stealing them.
You know what? Just call it the Skywalking.
Okay.
That's the title of that track. Go Skywalking through Neverland.com.
Definitely have to give you credit.
Well, speaking of different sounds, I've read that new technology excites you. So is there like any of the latest new technology that you've incorporated into Freemaker Adventures score?
Oh, wow. That is a great question. Well, one of the things that I've been dabbling with that's been really fun is I have a robot piano.
Wow. What's that?
So my upright, I had it rigged special. So it actually is a player piano. And I can, play the normal piano, and it records what I play into the computer, and then I can play it back for me. So, if I'm just sitting down to the piano and kind of just sketching and, stream of consciousness to see where the ideas take me, I don't have to worry about capturing the idea because it's basically being recorded by the computer. All my different, keystrokes on the piano are being recorded.
Wow.
And if I want to play it back, then it actually mechanically engages the piano and plays it back like a player piano.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. And does it also say Roger, Roger?
Roger, Roger.
No, but I wish it did.
That's so cool. So it's kind of like your dictation on your phone when you're taking notes, only for music.
Exactamundo. Yep.
Wow.
Wow. I'm guessing you're a big Fonzie fan too.
What?
Exactamundo.
Exactamundo.
Oh, okay.
He does say that. You're right.
Because I'm the Fonz. Huh? Hey.
That went over my head.
I gotcha.
Well, I do have another question from our Twitter, and One John Jedi would like to know, what are your non-Star Wars inspirations while composing for Lego Freemaker Adventures?
Oh, yeah, that is a really good question. So, when I first started writing for the show, to say I was a bit frightened to get started was an understatement. John casts quite the big shadow, and so one of my strategies for approaching this music was trying to look for his inspirations. What were the composers that John was listening to and was inspired by when he sat down to write the first Star Wars. So it's basically, instead of being totally derivative of what John does, trying to look a step beyond to see what his inspirations were. So I went and listened to a bunch of famous British composers that I knew he was into, like Ralph Vaughan Williams and these guys. And so I was really trying to steep myself in those kind of classical romantic British composers and get inspired by what they were doing.
Nice. That's a good answer.
Now, when you sit down at the beginning of the day to start composing, is there a Michael Kramer springboard theme you have to listen to, something that gets you in the spirit of writing music?
Yeah, what I did, when I was writing music for season 1, my studio was actually a little bit of a drive. So it was sometimes like a 45 minute drive in the morning. And, I tried to think of it as a blessing and not a curse. And every morning, I would put on The Force Awakens and listen to it. And that would be my springboard in the morning to kind of get me going.
Nice.
Was there a particular track that really got you revved up?
Oh my. I really love the track. I don't know the name of it, that embarrassingly, but it's the track when Kylo Ren arrives. I think it's maybe called like Kylo Ren arrives into battle. It's like these chugging strings, and oh man, it's great.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Kylo's his little dark side phrasing theme.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got the devil's chord in there, the devil's notes.
Oh yeah, totally. I totally know what you mean. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? Lego Star Wars, it's always a bit tongue in cheek. So, do you have this in mind when writing the music?
Yeah. Great question. A Lego Freemaker Adventures is obviously a little bit different than scoring just a normal Star Wars movie, in that there's a lot more comedy, there's a lot more snark, there's a lot more physical humor. So yeah, it's been interesting trying to push the Star Wars sound into more comedic directions. That's been really fun. And to be honest, I've actually looked to some of John's other scores that are a bit more action comedy scores,
right,
to get inspiration. Like in Indiana Jones, there's a lot of action comedy in there. So sometimes there'll be some things and some ideas that I steal from that. But yeah, it's been really fun trying to find the funny side of the Star Wars score.
Yeah, do you do like Mickey Mousing?
Yeah. So Mickey Mousing, just in case the listeners don't know what that means, if a character like falls to the ground, the music accents that fall and it goes with the fall at the same time. And so that's Mickey Mousing, is music accents the exact action that you see on screen. And yeah, we do that quite a bit, especially with Roger. Because it seems like every other thing he does,
he's falling.
He's falling.
Roger.
How big of a fan were you when they came to you with this offer?
Yeah, no, I'd always really liked Star Wars, but I'll be 100% honest in that I've really developed a love for it working with it. I loved I liked Star Wars growing up, but I'd say that, it's turned into a love over the past year and a half.
Oh, that's good to hear. We love it when we hear that people who love Star Wars are working on Star Wars.
Yeah.
As Star Wars fans, that makes us feel like loved.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, in the season 2 trailer, we see a familiar face with Hera Syndulla. Do you have a specific theme in mind for her?
Well, yes and no. There's kind of like a militaristic theme that we've got going on in season 2, but it's nothing too specific.
Okay.
Are there any other familiar faces we'll see in season 2?
Yes, yeah. You will see some familiar faces.
Who?
What kind of themes are you writing?
Who are they?
There's
original trilogy? Prequel?
Is there French horns?
You're just gonna have to see.
Is there flute melodies for love themes?
Tell us all about the Ahsoka theme that you're writing.
Wow, deep cut.
Oh man!
Oh dang, he's on to us.
Good.
All right, you better wrap this up.
All right.
Then where to go from here? Well, if our Skywalker listeners want to get a hold of you or find your music, where do they go for that?
Yeah, so my website, michaelkramermusic.com, and Twitter is at Kramer Composer.
Okay. Oh, let me write that down. A follow is coming your way. Okay.
Cool.
At Kramer Composer. Awesome. And so that's pretty much the best places to find you are your website and your Twitter?
Yep.
Awesome.
And then once again, when you do write that score that incorporates the Lego brick sound, you're going to call it what?
So I'm going to name it after you guys, Skywalking.
Yeah. There you go. Okay.
It'll be the Skywalking through Neverland.com theme.
That's a long name. Can we shorten that?
At Skywalking Pod.
Great. Perfect. Deal.
Yay. All right.
Perfect.
Well, thank you, Mike, so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Richard.
Shout-outs, Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout-out. Who was photobombed? Shout-out. Who was shared a post?
I want to give a shout-out to some podcasts, because when podcasts have on other podcasters, it's really fun. We love that. Yeah. So here's a shout out to Mousetalgia. And episode 458, they have their D23 Expo Recap Part 2. And it's got some interesting Imagineering panels, including some Marty Sklar bits.
Yes. Not a moment too soon.
I know. And they also play some audio from the Mousetalgia meetup that we attended. Now, you may hear some familiar voices in that one. So thank you, Mousetalgia. It was great meeting the Mousetalgia crew face to face.
Yeah, it's always beneficial, I think, to put a face to a voice.
Yeah.
So we've been listening to their podcast for years. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time we had a chance to actually meet them.
Yeah, it was great. All right, I also want to give a shout out to Disney Vault Talk. We joined Steve and Teresa on their D23 Overview Part 2 to discuss the animation panel, Galaxy's Edge, and Tangled.
And Starship Sabers and Scoundrels episode number 34. We were on that one, Sarah. Mm-hmm. And we joined Dennis Keithley and Darth Taxis with some even more D23 Expo fun.
Yeah.
So I think we had all our bases covered.
I think so. And then our 2 episodes of D23 Expo coverage. So It's really awesome. We hope you love D23 Expo coverage.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there was so much to do there that everyone did different things. Like the Mousetalgia crew did a whole bunch of different, smaller panels, whereas we did all the big ones. So it was really cool.
And we got another iTunes review. Was it a 1-star, a 2-star, 3-star? We let you decide, and you gave us 5 stars.
Woohoo!
By Bad Wobot. Bad_Wobot.
Nice.
And they say, been listening to this fun podcast for about a year now. I'm a lot more of a Star Wars fan than a Disney one, but really fun fan-based talk, and I like to find out all the press and behind-the-scenes tidbits from and about the events I rarely get to go see myself. That's what we're here for. Interviews and the Star Wars history goodies. Oh, I love those. Gotta do more of those. Richard is a cool fanatic. Thank you very much. And Sarah is great too, and I love her sweetie voice. I love Fangirls Going Rogue Pod too. Great job, guys, and hope to get to see you both in person someday.
We hope so too, Bad Wobot.
Yeah. You know what? Are you on our Facebook group? If you are, let us know.
Yeah.
And look for our live meetups, because we're always meeting up. Our next one being September the 1st to see John Williams.
Yay.
At the Hollywood Bowl.
Woohoo.
All right, now I got something on Twitter, so Sarah, go ahead and read this one.
All right, Alexandria Leonis. She is at AlexLeonis94 on Twitter. She tweeted a picture of her and her dad in front of that Star Wars sign at Hollywood Studios and wrote, "Dad and I in line for Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios." So then I thought about this, and I'm like, well, now what do we call our hashtag Star Wars landline? Do we call it hashtag Star Wars line? Hashtag Galaxy's Edge line, which totally doesn't roll off the tongue. The edge of Galaxy's Edge?
No.
Like, I don't even know. And I tweeted that, asking that, and James Jawa tweeted back, and he said, "The Galaxy's Edge of Glory." Which we thought was cute. So, Skywalkers, what do you think?
I may have to say that I'm liking Star Wars Landline. I know,
it's fun, right?
All right, should we go with Star Wars Landline?
I don't know, you guys. You have to 3 different places to line up. Yes, we do. I don't know. So, and there have been people, I guess at Disneyland, the tunnels are actually in place that are going to go to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and in line for the edge. I like that. Okay. Dennis Keithley says that.
Samir says no, but I'm not sure what he's saying no to.
Yeah, edge of the line. Galaxy's, I don't know. Because I feel like we should try to transition ourselves to say Galaxy's Edge, but Star Wars Landline is just fun.
Yeah. Samir says Star Wars Landline sounds like a telephone ring.
Yeah.
Telephone thing.
Journey to the Galaxy's Edge. Ooh. That's nice, but it needs to be like short. I know. See, Missy Davis, she says Star Wars Landline. She likes that.
Yeah, I think we may be going with Star Wars Landline after all.
We'll see. Okay. Well, Skywalkers, you can tweet at us if you're listening to this later. You can tweet at us at SkywalkingPod. Let us know.
All right, with that, we will skip over the Skywalker of the week because Rob is still on vacation. Thanks, Rob. And let's blast right to 0.5 past light speed as we talk with Brian Sims all about Mark Hamill Drive. Love it. Wonder how long that sign's going to be there until someone takes it. Why are you looking at me? Don't look at me like that.
You're the busiest bee in the fan community. You get around the galaxy enthusiastically. You're 0.5 past light speed.
This is a good time to be Mark Hamill. He was just named a Disney legend at D23 Expo. Next year, he's getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But today, as we are recording this, Sunday, July 30th, 2017, he can add one more achievement, having a street named after him.
Skywalker Brian Sims was there getting everything, and I mean everything, and now he's here to tell us all about it.
Hey, Brian!
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Oh, not as good as you.
Yeah, so how was your day?
My day was great after years of running through Comic-Con and seeing him at a distance and never being able to actually talk to him or meet him or say anything. I got my Mark Hamill moment today. So I've always had a regret. I've never actually seen him in person. So it was a lot of fun to actually be out there with him today.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, take us through the event from today.
So today by proclamation, July 30th was officially declared Mark Hamill Day for the city of San Diego. And what they did was rewind back to the beginning of the year. San Diego Chargers announced that they were leaving San Diego. And the community right in this area where Mark used to live, 1 block over from where he used to live, there was a street named Charger Boulevard that a lot of the people believed was named after the team. They wanted to change it to something for Mark to honor him. But they ran with the idea, the city councilman at the time, who is still the city councilman, ran with the idea of doing an honorary name for the block that he used to live on. So the Charger Boulevard stayed the same and took about a 5-month process to go through the city council and get everything approved or whatever. And then it was just a matter of arranging a date that Mark could come down and be a part of the ceremony for an honorary street in his name.
So they were going to swap out Charger for Mark Hamill Drive?
That was the initial request by the residents.
Because the Chargers left and they were just disgruntled?
That is exactly why. A lot of people believe that since the street was this neighborhood was built around the same time the stadium was built, that it was named for the team at the time. But there's been no evidence to support that.
Wow.
So yeah,
you guys really hold a grudge down there.
Well, yes, we do, as a matter of fact.
All right, now where exactly is this in the city of Claremont, San Diego?
Well, Claremont's just a community. It's not really a city. It is San Diego proper. It's San Diego City. The ceremony today took place on the corner of Castleton and Mount Abernathy. So they blocked off a small section of the intersection right there, and that whole block area. There's another sign that we didn't get to see today, but there's going to be a couple signs up there that says honorary Mark Hamill Drive.
Right.
Okay.
So now, is this an official street?
This is an honorary sign. They didn't change the name of the street. And it sounds to me like it was mostly for financial reasons, but it's an honorary street. So the most common thing down in this area is you'll see honorary freeway names for different people and stuff. But there are a handful of streets in San Diego that have the honorary banner above them too.
Right.
Okay.
So at some point in the future, will this ever be officially Mark Hamill Drive, and maybe over time they can overturn this other street, Castleton, or the other one?
You know, I'm not sure. There wasn't much talk of that. I did get a chance to talk with the city councilman today, and he gave me a little bit of a rundown about the 5-month process it takes to get this done. But he didn't mention anything about actually changing the name of the street. It really sounded like finances had a big play in it for everything from residents that have their businesses in their homes to, there was a lot more to it than just changing the street sign.
Well, you know what? That's a couple of bucks I wouldn't mind to spend. To say, I live on Mark Hamill Drive.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, don't you? I'd never stop talking about that.
That's so great.
All right, now let's continue on with your day.
We got in there. We got set up. They had a media kind of pool area set up that was enclosed with Mark. They gave us a brief rundown of what would happen.
And you were there as press?
I was there with the media, yeah, and with a couple other people that we know. Brandon Jackson from the 501st, great photographer. He went there with me that day. Nice. And so we sat there. We got there early. We waited around a little bit. Did a couple interviews and talked to some people like that. And then we got word that he was coming on his way. And 2 black SUVs showed up and Star Wars music started playing. Nice. And an interesting note, and no one really picked up on it with the media, Mark had a lot of family there with him, other than just his immediate family that he kind of sent a shout out to on Twitter. But he had his sister there. He had aunts and uncles. So he had a pretty large gathering of family that was also seated inside the pavilion area there.
Wow.
Yeah, his wife Mary Lou was there. His kids, Chelsea and Griffin. His other son Nathan was there.
I think he was mentioning his cousin was there as well.
Yes, there was a couple of them, and they didn't introduce the entire family, but I want to say there was, maybe a dozen or more, family members other than his immediate family, and the puppies. The puppies showed up too.
How many people do you think were there? Fans,
it was really hard.
Media.
It was really hard to say because it wasn't set up. It wasn't conducive for a lot of people coming to watch it. It was a small section of it was a small part of the intersection. They didn't block the adjoining streets off. So the fans are really at a kind of a disadvantage for this one. There was, a couple hundred people, I would guess.
Okay. That's a good size turnout.
Yeah, it is. And I think if it would have been in a different setting, and also with a little bit more notice, if you don't watch a certain news station or follow a certain councilman, you might not have heard about this today.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think if we hadn't heard it from you, we wouldn't have heard about this.
Yeah, it was not well publicized. And I think that was on purpose because it isn't an area that can accommodate a lot of people. Right. It's a residential area.
So when Mark hops out of his SUV, how did you feel when you saw him?
Oh, okay. I have to be honest, don't I?
Yes, you do.
I got kind of choked up. He's just the way he interacts with all the fans and the screaming people and stuff, and you can see his face and how lit up he is. He makes eye contact with people. He points to them. The city councilman that set this all up was very strict, telling people no autographs this, no autographs that. So the first thing Mark does is he starts signing autographs right then.
Yeah, I think you had taken a picture of him sitting down cross-legged, just signing things like he was in the middle of his living room.
Yeah, he did that at the very end of the day. He was getting ready to leave. In fact, his daughter Chelsea was up on the platform trying to wrangle him to get in the SUV. He just sat down up on there right next to the barrier and started signing items and taking pictures with people.
Yeah, that's definitely Mark Hamill for you. That sums up Mark Hamill.
Yeah, it was pretty touching. It was just a wonderful thing to see.
Now, luckily, you got some great audio, so let's go ahead and roll into Mark Hamill's speech right before the unveiling of his honorary street name.
Hello, Claremont. I can't tell you how great it feels to be back in my old neighborhood. To say that I'm grateful and honored would be an understatement. Thank you. But I'm not going to bore you with a biographical speech. I did this, I did that, I did this and that. But I do want to tell you a little bit about myself to put in perspective how meaningful this is to me. I'm in the middle of 7 children. My father was a career naval officer. I went to 9 schools in 12 years. 3 of them when I lived in San Diego, and in 4 years, that was the longest stay I had in any city, because I just, bounced around, eventually graduating from Yokohama High in Japan. Oh, some Yohai fans here. But part of me is honored because the community reached out and made me a part of something I'd wanted for so long, a sense of place. I don't really have a hometown, but if I could pick a hometown, it would certainly be San Diego. I loved living here. Now, if anybody is here from when I lived here back in the olden days, they probably remember me as that goofy kid that was always doing puppet shows and doing magic tricks and imitating cartoon characters. And, I was certain that I wanted to do what I wanted to do back when I lived in this neighborhood. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want them to make fun of me. But I'm here today with my family, my wife, Mary Lou, my son, Nathan, my son, Griffin, my daughter, Chelsea, our 2 rescue dogs, Millie and Mabel. And to be completely forthcoming, there were 8 Hamills that lived on Castleton Drive. My younger brother, Patrick, wouldn't be born until we moved to Virginia. But my sister, Terry, is here today with my nephews, Tyler and Brian. So, listen. When they first told me that they were going to name a street after me, I thought they were pranking me. It's got to be a prank, right? I mean, they could choose an author, they could choose an ex-president, they could choose a philanthropist. But this is especially meaningful for me because even though I've been an electric toothbrush, I've been on a pair of underoos, I've been a sleeping bag, those are all Luke Skywalker things. This is Mark Hamill, so that's extra special, right? So I do want to thank Councilman Kate. I'm sorry I didn't believe you right away. By the way, when I got my postage stamp, I went to the post office and I thought, I got to get this postage stamp with my face on it. And the guy down at the post office made sure I knew. He said, you realize we are honoring the character, not the actor. And I said, no, why do you say that? He said, because you can't be on a stamp unless it's posthumously. So they had to wait to put Elvis on a stamp until after he was gone. So this is really, really special to me. I'll never forget it. And hey, the force is strong with all of you. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you.
So now, what did you think when they were trying to pull that silk off of the street signs and they got stuck? And Mark almost pulled the whole thing down.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, so you guys got to watch the video.
Yes.
Yes. Great video that you shot.
It was outstanding. It was so funny. And the sad thing is there was a half dozen of us that were there early and saw them trying to wrap it. And they didn't. And I mean, person would probably think you just buy a big sheet and throw it over it and then pull it off. Mm-hmm. Well, the people that did this put a tablecloth up on it.
Oh, no.
That is stitched, has edges and stuff. And then they wrapped it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they should have known.
The wind was going to blow it off.
Learn from the magicians. Always go with silk.
Well, go with silk and some clamps, I guess, and then for the wind, and then when it's time to unveil it, just undo the clamps.
You know, speaking of magicians, it was funny how Mark said that he grew up on that street as a little kid doing puppet shows and magic shows.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute,
that's what we do.
That's us. We do puppet shows and magic shows. Oh my goodness.
I know.
So next time we see Mark, we'll have a little connection with him.
Yeah.
That was so sweet. And then, so the ceremony ends and he gets to do the press line. So tell us about the press line.
Well, he didn't really do the press line. Mark did a Mark thing instead. He got off the podium and talked to his family just a little bit and headed right for the fans. He headed right to the barrier and started signing more autographs. Somebody, and I have some pictures, I'm going to have to pull them up somehow. Someone had his yearbook from his freshman year in high school that he was in San Diego.
Whoa.
And they were holding it up in the audience, and I know that he went over to see that and sign it.
Oh, of course.
So, no, he actually skipped the press line. He went over to the fans and was signing and taking pictures with them. And then he came back and did a very short Q&A session with the major networks there and a few other of us that were lucky enough to get in there for that brief period of time.
Actually, I was just listening to your audio and it sounded like he was going from person to person to person. I figured it was the press line.
It was kind of like that. We were kind of in a semicircle around him, and he was just answering questions from all the media that was standing right there.
Right.
Okay, so you jumped in then.
Yeah, you did.
Well, yeah, I was I did the polite thing. I was kind of waiting for him to get done with the fans and over there.
Then came the moment where you got to ask your big question.
Hey, Mark. After Carrie's passing, how does it change your outlook on events like this and the Disney Legends? And does it change how you look at these events?
Well, it's sad that she's not here because she made everything more fun. And she deserves to be here. She got nominated for an Emmy, and she's wonderful in The Last Jedi. And she deserved in Episode 9. So that's what's really sad. But the movies are about triumphs and tribulations and life and death. So it sort of reflects the movies, but I'm still selfishly mad that she's not around to flip me the bird. Which she would be doing today, by the way.
The question was weird for me because I reached out to a lot of people over the last couple of days about, what would you ask Mark Hamill? What would you ask him? What would you ask him? I even asked a few professionals what they would. And all the answers I got were all different or something, but it wasn't like anything heartfelt that I was kind of going after that I wanted to see. And I know how close he and Carrie were, so that kind of led me to ask my own question.
So close that she feels free to flip him the bird at any given moment.
Yeah, you could say the way he answered it, and I was so hesitant to even ask the question because this was a joyous, fun occasion and everything, but it's kind of what I wanted to know.
So now here is Mark Hamill looking you straight in the eye. Is your head just a mess?
No, actually, it was the coolest moment of the whole day because he was standing there and he was talking right to me and explaining this and how he felt and, you know, how he wishes that she was still there. And for me, highlight of the day, of course. You know, for 30 seconds, I got to chat with him, and I really didn't hear the cameras going off or everybody else chattering behind him.
Well, you're a better man than me because my head would just be a total scramble.
You'd be like, and not hear anything
I'd be
he
nodding,
said.
and I'm thinking, Luke Skywalker is looking me right in the eye. I can't get past this.
Yeah, actually, at that time, what was going through my head was, you know, everybody else in the media was asking for selfies and pictures with him, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot myself if I don't do this, but I was trying to be semi-professionve, so...
Yeah, unfortunately, being professional at these kind of things does not always work out in your favor. And I've lost out many times because I was trying to do the professional thing.
Yeah, so I have a picture of my hand and holding the recorder. So that until I see him again, that's going to have to do.
We're looking at that picture right now with your hand in the Zoom recorder.
Well, you know what? Rebel Legion asked a question right after your question about what was Mark's favorite costume.
That was a good question.
Yes.
And do you recall what his answer was?
He was talking about his own costumes, about which ones he wore through the things. And the person that asked it was Brandon Jackson, great photographer. He's with the 501st and the Rebel Legion here in San Diego. And so he kind of did a really brief breakdown of the costumes that he wore, but for him it was always the Bespin fatigues.
Right on. So you know what? Let's go ahead and play Mark's answer. I love this.
Mark, on behalf of the Rebel Legion of 501st, we want to know, what's your favorite Star Wars costume?
Favorite Star Wars
costume?
Well, each one seemed functional to me. The one on Tatooine was the easiest to wear and relax. Bespin fatigues, though. Those are very cool. But you guys do such great work. I should thank the 501st because you're always there. There's so many great charitable works. And that's an example of fans that have turned their love of the movies into something really positive. Yeah, so shout out to you guys.
Cool.
I was so happy. I was so happy when he said the Bespin fatigues.
Is that your favorite
That's
outfit?
my favorite Luke Skywalker costume.
Oh, so that would be like Carrie Fisher saying hers was the Bespin Leia.
Yes.
Which I adore.
And you know what?
Cloud City Leia.
And I didn't expect that either.
Yeah.
I thought he would have said like the Return of the Jedi because it was very symbolic to Darth Vader and turning to the dark side, or the Tatooine Luke, the Tatooine tunic, because it was so comfortable and flowy, or even the new Last Jedi outfit to get a little plug in there. It's like he looked at me and said, Rich, this one's for you, and said Bespin fatigues. And it was so heartfelt, too, when he said that he really loved how fans turn their passion into something positive when he's talking about the Rebel Legion and how they go out and do all this charity work and go to hospitals. So that was a fantastic answer.
Yeah, it was a great moment. And then he really recognized that they've been there with him when he's done his charity events. Force for Change for the last movie.
Yeah.
He went to hospitals. He did things out on the street. That was all with the help of the 501st and Rebel Legion. So, I mean, he definitely knows who they are. He recognizes them for all the great work they do. And being someone that does as much charity as he does, he really appreciates them.
Yeah, and the fact that he even spun it around to give them credit during his answer. I thought, this guy should be like named a god. You know what? Don't just give him a star on the Walk of Fame or a street sign or Disney legend plaque. Man needs to be named a god.
What can he say except you're welcome?
What can I say except you're welcome?
All right. Anything else to add?
No, just he is such a special person. I hope we need more behind the scenes footage of Mark talking. We need it to be memorialized, put into making of type things. I think the Force Awakens, it was missing Mark, maybe because he only had the 30 seconds or whatever, but we need to hear from him more and more.
So what you're trying to say is that Mark Hamill needs to go skywalking through Neverland.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Oh.
I can't imagine a better interview for you guys because of his conversational style and because of how he is. And it's kind of a perfect fit.
That would be a 5-parter.
One question every episode.
Every episode.
Well, it was interesting to me, but for any other actors or stars or even football players I've been around and stuff, there's usually always a publicist or a handler right on their tail.
Oh, I hate that.
Taking care of them 24/7. And it's pretty common in the industry. I mean, I see it everywhere. You can always, they don't wear a shirt saying I'm in charge, but they're always like right there in their ear or something. I don't see that with Mark. He showed up with his family and him and
his dogs.
Yeah, other than our San Diego Police Department that was there to, maybe to keep things in order, no private security, no handler, no nothing, just Mark talking to the fans. That was pretty special.
So over the last 40 years of hearing his interviews, seeing his panels, did you learn anything new today about Mark Hamill?
Ooh, wow, you got me off guard there. That's a great, yes, and I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know if I realized what a large family he had before, that he's one of 7 kids.
Oh.
That, he had a very large family. I knew he came from a military family. That's the reason he bounced around and went to, I think it was 12 schools in 12 years or something like that. Or it was really, really a lot of schools. But just his sense of family today just really shined through.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Now, if you can sum up Mark Hamill in one word, what would it be?
It sounds funny, but I'd call him Dad. Because he's like a father figure to all these people. He's just an awesome example for people. Everything he says is just really all about being all inclusive and
yeah. Wow. I'd have to agree with that. I mean, the first time I saw him in the same room was Celebration, I want to say 5?
5, yes.
5 in Orlando. And yeah, I got that same feeling. It was like sitting at a fireplace with your dad, as he told stories. So amazing.
One of his things that he enjoys about the new movies is now there's a whole generation of kids that'll see older Mark as Luke Skywalker again.
Right, right. And they'll recognize him and not let himself go.
I wonder if kids will get he and Ben Kenobi mixed up.
I don't know.
Ooh, I don't know.
No, I don't. The older wizard figure, the scruffy looking facial hair. Yeah, you know what? It'll be fun to find out.
We'll see in this next movie how he wields that lightsaber, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Everyone, let's mark this in your calendar that today, July 30th, 2017, is Mark Hamill Day in the city of San Diego. So happy Mark Hamill Day, Brian.
Best day ever.
Oh, hey! That's what Rapunzel says.
Now, Brian, if anyone wants to follow you on social media or look at your pictures or your video, where do they go?
I think the easiest thing is just if you go to my website, there's links to everything, and it's my name spelled out. It's briansims.com. So I think instead of rattling them all off, if you just go there, you can find links to everything.
All right, Brian. Well, you had a long day, so go rest up, and may the force be with you.
Thank you, guys.
That wraps up episode 179 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
We'd like to thank Mike Kramer, Brian Sims, Russ Flores, Riley Blanton, and all of you Skywalkers who listen every single week or watch our Facebook Live or our YouTube Live when we record this every week. You get kind of a pre-show. I got to show off all my Forces of Destiny figures. It was really fun this week. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are youtube.com/skywalkingthrough-neverland.
Speaking of fun, we're going to have some fun next week because we already talked to next week's guest. Should we tell them?
Well, I think we kind of leaked it earlier, so I think we can tell them.
All right. We have spoken to Mr. James Arnold Taylor.
Yay!
And boy, did he give us exclusives.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Gotta thank Jeremy Hunt for that, because he put the bug in my ear. Hey, I want to hear from James Arnold Taylor. And there we go. And we got him, so thank you, Jeremy. It was so much fun, and apparently James is a big fan of yours, Jeremy.
Yeah, he knows
everyone
your family.
knows Jeremy.
Well, yeah, and he misses Star Wars weekends, and I'm sure the Hunt family was always there. So, yay!
So keep those ideas coming, people. You're always giving us ideas, and you know what? We'll put them into action.
Yeah, we'll reach out. We'll see. You know, if these guys respond, then awesome. We can set up an interview.
Jeremy Hunt had recommended Ahmed Best, who I'd love to get, and reached out. And
yes.
Still waiting to hear back on that one.
Still working on that. Yes.
Yeah, so if anyone is connected to Ahmed Best on Twitter, let him know that Skywalking is looking for him. Because Ahmed needs to go skywalking through the
planet core.
Now, Skywalkers, we are part of RetroZap.com, where you can find some great articles and awesome shows like Brews and Blasters,
the Sandcrawler Podcast,
Beltway Banthas,
the Newscast Movie Show,
Starship Sabers and Scoundrels, of which we're on this week,
Kanata's Castle,
Techno Retro Dads.
Oh, Kanata's Castle. Speaking of Kanata's Castle, it's Devin Myers' birthday today.
Oh, my goodness.
Happy birthday, Devin Myers.
Yay, Red 5 Mom.
And you can also find Techno Retro Dads and Talking Apes TV, where we just launched a new giveaway contest.
Ooh.
All you gotta do is listen to the show and answer the question, what favorite episodes did Mark and I name for Return to the Planet of the Apes? So we do a series wrap-up on the animated series, and we name our favorite episodes. What were those episodes? Direct message us on Facebook, and you may get a chance to win those posters courtesy of our good friend, the all-nighter, Matt Clifton.
Woohoo! Okay, well, you can also find Skywalking Through Neverland at jedinews.co.uk, along with other awesome news. So thank you, Jedi News.
Now, if people want to find us on social media, what do they do?
We are at Skywalking Pod for Twitter and Instagram. I am at Jedi Tink. Richard, you are at Sith Rich. So make sure you say hello to us.
Hey, Skywalker, says Davis Grayson on YouTube.
Yay! We also have our Facebook group, which is a closed group on Facebook. And if you want to join, you can search Facebook for Skywalking Facebook group. If you find it, you can request to join, and then you make sure you have to answer 2 questions. Like, what are your fandoms and something else? Why do you want to join the group?
I think I deleted 11 people last week.
Yeah.
They didn't answer the questions. See ya. You gotta follow directions here.
It's true. Okay. Well, also, you can email us, you guys, if you have something long you'd like to share with us.
Do you know what Jeremy wants to share with us right now? The fact that he's going to bed right now.
But he said this has been an excellent Skywalking Through Neverland STN tailgate party. Nice.
All right. Good night, Jeremy.
Woo.
Say hi to the fam.
Okay, you can email us. We are share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com. Now, if you want to hear fun bits of conversation, like lots of bits of conversation that didn't make it into the show, and because we record late at night,
we tend to ramble.
We're kind of punchy, so just listen right after the credits because
you'll hear a lot of fun stuff.
It's fun, and even better, if you want to tune in to our live show on YouTube every week, make sure you put it so that it'll notify you, and so that you can tune in. Yay!
Do that, and always remember.
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Ogushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
No, so I guess from what I can gather, you guys focus on Disney and Star Wars, and just basic love of being a fan. Is that the basic gist?
Yeah, and we love to talk with the creators of either Disney or Star Wars, and I have a music background, so I love talking to composers, and so
nice.
Yeah, so you're right up our alley. Really
cool. What's your background?
Well, I have a BA in music from USC, which I know you went to USC.
Woo-hoo!
I know,
fight on,
fellow alum. Woohoo, fight on!
Yeah.
And so I have that. I play French horn, and I played piano growing up, and I was in the band, and big band nerd.
Oh yeah, legit. That's awesome. That's great.
And I myself still have my record player from 1977.
Well, you're cool too, Richard.
I just want to be at the cool table with you two.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yes.
All right, now before we cut out, can we have you do a, hey everyone, this is Michael Kramer, and I am skywalking through Neverland. Or this is Michael Kramer, the composer for Lego Star Wars Freemaker Adventures.
Do you want me to write that down?
Yes, I will probably mess it up, but we're gonna give it a shot.
Okay. All right, you can go anytime, and if we need to, we'll write it.
Do you want us to write it down?
No. I think I got it.
He's got it. And I am skywalking through Neverland is kind of how you end it.
Okay.
And action.
All right, let's do one more because there was a little bit of a audio glitch.
And then at the end, just go on an up note, like I am skywalking through Neverland.
Skywalking through Neverland.
Yes.
And end it on a B flat major minor.
There you go.
Got it. There you go.
Perfect.
There you go.
We love that.
that was more of a B major, wasn't it?
It was definitely major.
It was a little low.
I got no idea what that means.
Well, you want it to be major for us.
Major, okay, I understand that.
We're not a sad podcast.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
You're going to have to cut out this pause here, I guess.
Nope, we don't edit.
Hey, before you guys start, did you see the picture of the new Last Jedi action figures?
I just did just now,
What?
here.
What?
Chewie comes with a porg.
Chewie comes with a porg. I just saw it. I just ran across it. I had to do a double take and zoom in at the picture. I'm like, there's a porg with Chewie's action figure.
Yeah, that's a porg.
Are these on shelves already?
I think that was from another country.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see what else they got. Oh.
Lisa retweeted it, and I didn't get a chance to look at it when I saw it this morning. But when I got back, I did a zoom in, and I saw Chewie with a porg. I'm like, oh.
Ooh, Rey's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, she's all gray.
Goodness gracious.
Huh.
I can't believe this. But then again, there's Hux. What's a Force Link? Then again, they were selling toys for Justice League at Target when we were there earlier. Oh, is that Paige?
It must be. I don't see a name.
You've sent us down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Brian.
thanks, Brian.
I'm sorry.
What is that?
I don't know.
Resistance ski speeder.
Ski speeder. Okay, we're back to the porg.
Whoa. You know what? But still, go back to the basics for the packaging.
Yeah.
Why? If you went back to the basics, I'd be all over it. So maybe it's good they don't.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fundamentally messed up. The only thing good is their vintage packaging.
Yeah, this is why I have no love for the newer action figures. I just can't get them.
You know what? We have Forces of Destiny dolls, and I am like,
hey, action heroes, action adventure heroes.
You know what? They're dolls. Okay, I'm gonna call them dolls.
I know.
Rich, just set up a G.I. Joe doll next to it.
Well, I put my Han Solo now next to.
And believe me, it was a big fight today whether or not to keep him in the package or open him up. Huge fight in Target of all places.
Guess what? I won.
Yes, she did.
There were plenty of comments in the group about their package.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good day in the Woloski household.
Has for me.
It's always a good day for you, okay?
You know, this is all going at the end of the show.
Are you recording this?
No.
I am recording this.
Aren't you supposed to give a disclaimer to Brian?
We started recording and then we got off on a tangent because you mentioned the porgs.
You've been recording
Brian.
Since then?
Yes.
Oh my god. And always remember
to play with your Forces of Destiny dolls.
Now you can play with your toys.
Give me a minute.
No.
Over there.